With the release of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 5, we have a lot to talk about. In the last chapter, Boruto used FTGs to teleport to Code's base where the Ten Tails was being kept. However, once he got there, the Ten Tails had already mysteriously disappeared, and out came 4 new villains who called themselves Shinju. They're beings that were born from the claw grimes eating people and using their chakra to take an entirely different form. Boruto scraps with them for a little while, but the numbers start to overwhelm Boruto, with him having no other choice but to go back to Earth and regroup. However, once we get to Earth, we found out what we've all been wondering and what we were scared of for a little while now, and that's Sasuke being absorbed by the tree and unconscious. And that's exactly where the last chapter leaves off. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to take a second and ask you guys watching to like, comment some video ideas for me to cover in the future, and subscribe with post notifications on so you don't miss when I upload another video. The chapter starts off with a flashback, and in it, we see Boruto in the midst of training with Sasuke, to where Sasuke sets for him and Boruto to take a little break. Boruto starts talking to Sasuke about his Uchiha style and techniques that Sasuke taught him, and asks Sasuke if he's already mastering it. Sasuke responds and says yeah, in the 1 year that they have been training, Sasuke has been able to teach Boruto almost all of his techniques and styles. Boruto is surprised and says that Sasuke must be joking because he was just being a little cocky and wants Sasuke to train him more. Sasuke asks Boruto if he thinks the look on his face is joking, lol, and Boruto says it doesn't look like it, but thinking back, he doesn't think he's ever heard Sasuke joke around before. Sasuke tells Boruto that he has a good talent and he's quick at learning things. In general, he's a genius. He continues telling Boruto that he has everything in his mind, so he really has nothing else to teach him. Though Sasuke doesn't have anything else to teach Boruto, he reassures Boruto that his training still isn't over. Boruto has to keep on going and strengthen his mind and techniques, and Sasuke tells Boruto that it all depends on him and how much he can master what he was taught. We cut to them traversing through the woods, and Sasuke tells Boruto that the guy who corrected him when he got on the wrong path and Boruto have the same eyes. He says about who Boruto truly is that doesn't really matter to him right now. He thinks he's starting to understand why Sarada told him to save Boruto. He says something is happening, something that only can be solved by Boruto and Sarada. That's what his feelings are telling him, and that's why he's trained Boruto. Then cut again to the fight they had with Code, and we learned that it was indeed Sasuke that cut Code's eye and not Boruto. Sasuke tells Boruto to hurry and run, but Boruto tells Sasuke that he can't leave his master. Sasuke tells Boruto that there's no way they can win against Code for now, so Boruto needs to run, survive no matter what, and master every aspect of training that Sasuke taught Boruto. Sasuke says if Boruto does, there should be no one who can stand against him, and in Sasuke's final words to Boruto, he entrusts Sarada with Boruto as Sasuke rushes into his demise against Code and his army. I just wanted to take a second and talk about this sequence or scene here because there has been a little controversy that I've been seeing on Twitter about the scaling between Sasuke and Code, and how is it even possible for Sasuke to be able to cut Code's eye, given the fact that Sasuke should be nerfed from losing the Rinnegan, and Code is just stronger than Jigen, who Sasuke lost to with his Rinnegan, and Naruto at his side. Now for one, Sasuke does just straight up say that him along with Boruto have zero chance of winning against Code, but I know there's gonna be some comments talking about Code was also with his army, so Sasuke is most likely talking about Code and his army helping him. To this, I say Code is in base, so we do know he's holding back, which I know might seem like a cop-out to say, but it is in character for Code to do so. Code is always very cocky and underestimates his opponents. Even most recently when he's fighting Boruto, he's constantly talking down to Boruto and being very cocky without knowing about Boruto's new power. Sasuke has also been training with Boruto, so it's possible he's gotten stronger, not saying stronger than his prime when he fought against Ishiki or Jigen, but still stronger while also possibly being mental amped since he's fighting to protect his student. I don't think that the possible interpretations I gave are set in stone or anything, but I do think it's better to at least give it some thought than to just write it off as bad scaling or not making sense. Moving on though, we cut to the Boruto coming back to the battlefield just to see a few dead claw grimes and Sasuke unconscious and absorbed by the tree. Boruto walks up to Sasuke and takes his sword and tells his master to leave it to him, as we then cut back to Boruto in the present day, seeing how he's grown and matured since then. We get to Konoha and we see Konohamaru checking on Muegi, who we see is now also absorbed by a claw grime. Chocho says she won't forgive Code or the Jubi, with Inojin agreeing, and Konohamaru tells them that Muegi isn't dead, so they're going to find a way to save her, to which Shikadai agrees. We transition to the Shinju, specifically the one that looks like Muegi, and she says that she feels the deep despair and anger of Inoshika-cho and Konohamaru. The seemingly leader of the Shinju says that's proof of her sensitivity growing. They're biologically one, but that feeling she felt seems to be only inside her, and we find out that the Muegi looking Shinju is named Matsuri. The leader continues saying that they are a single existence as Shinju, but also uniquely have their own consciousness, and that the purpose of eating Boruto and Kawaki as Otsutsuki in order to evolve hasn't changed. However, the leader says that he'll declare one thing: he doesn't know why he feels this way, and that it's probably a desire from his instinct, and that's why he feels it's so important. important. Naruto Uzumaki is his target and who he wants to eat. We see that Ada is watching the conversation between the Shinju with Matsuri and Jug, who we still don't have an official name for, questioning why Naruto is a target if he's not an Otsutsuki. The leader says that they're already Shinju and are evolving in different ways, and that it seems like the instinct moving them are changing as well. He tells the other Shinju to follow their instincts and listen to the voice inside them. Then they should be able to see the target that they each have. We see Damon wondering what's going on, and Matsuri says that the one she imagined was him. Konohamaru Sarutobi is our target. The leader calls it a good choice and says he can feel her identity. We then learn that the leader's name is Jura through the Sasuke Shinju, who later in the chapter we found out the Sasuke Shinju name is Hidari. But Hidari says to Jura that he only has one question for them, and that's who they are. Jura says it's reasonable to question, but it's also something they don't have to care about, and that it's a waste to think about. Jura continues telling Hidari that what he needs to do is important, and the instinct will tell him who he needs to target. We see Ada still using her clairvoyance to peer into their conversation, and she learns that the chakra from the people that were turned into a tree gave birth to the Shinju before her, and we then see Jug get up and walk towards Ada, telling her that he's watching and that his target is Ada herself. We cut back to Konoha, and Ada drops her drink from being terrified of the Shinju, with Damon asking if she's alright, and Ada just says yuck. Jura understands that what Ada was using to watch them was her Senringan, and we see Hidari say his target is Sarada Uchiha. Cutting back to Konoha again, this time we finally see Amato and Tubu Vortex sitting down in his office with Sumire. Sumire says that Boruto came back and it's been 3 years since he left, with Amato saying it seems like it, and that he also heard Boruto protected Konoha from Code's ambush. Sumire says yes, but he's still being targeted by the leaf, and Amato says that he went for the leader, so it's an obvious result, referring to Naruto of course. Sumire thinks about the time where Amato said he's added the data of Akubi to Kawaki's karma, so all Kawaki has to do is engrave the karma into a new clone, and his daughter should be back. Sumire says to Amato that he's taking things too easily, as she asks him isn't it going to be trouble for him if Boruto gets killed, and says that for Amato's daughter, he was waiting for Boruto to come back. Amato responds saying he let him escape from Kara and teamed up with Kashin Koji to defeat Ishiki. After Ishiki died, he put his daughter's data into Boruto's regenerated karma. To bring back one's soul, there's no other way than to resurrect it with karma. That's why he needs Boruto, asking Sumire if that's what she wanted to say. Amato says speaking of Kawaki, his body is a scientific ninja tool, but when and who modified his body to be that way, nobody knows. He says the fact is, Kawaki's body was obviously modified with his hands. Sumire asks Amato how he can know that for sure, but Amato says there are signs he can see that is only from him in many places. It's his instinct as a scientist, similar to how artists leave their proof that their work is from them. Amato continues saying that the same could be said for karma, that he can distinguish it with the look if it was done by him, but somehow Kawaki has the karma that he put Akubi inside. Amato can tell that there are controversies in his memory, but with the proof he has in front of him, the answer is obvious. Part of his memories has been overwritten. He says that's the only conclusion he can come up with, and for him, memories are just a vague phantom. For Amato as a scientist, there is nothing that beats actual proof. Amato says he doesn't know who did it, but he can clearly say that his goals only have to do with the karma for his daughter, and the one who has it is not Boruto, but Kawaki. We see Sai monitoring Amato while talking to Shikamaru, with Sai asking Shikamaru what he thought about the conversation, to which Shikamaru doesn't answer. We cut again to Sarada and Sumire, and they're talking about what Amato said and the fact that he's aware his memory has been rewritten. Sarada wonders how that can be, since even if they see a family photo with Boruto in it, people still believe that Kawaki is Naruto's son. Sumire says that it's because they believe in their memory over physical evidence, and that most people are incapable of doubting their own memory. Sarada thinks about Sasuke and when he doubted his memory to carry out her request, until Boruto shows up behind Sarada and Sumire saying that Sasuke believed in him. He says while still doubting his memory, Sasuke risked his life to save Boruto's, all for Sarada. Sarada rushes to Boruto and hugs him, while Sumire just stands there watching them, and seemingly to Boruto's surprise. Sarada says to Boruto that he's late, and Boruto hugs her back and says he's sorry, but he's home now, and that's where chapter 5 ends. This chapter had everything. I honestly think it was extremely good. There wasn't a single wasted panel, and everything felt important, and we got a lot of information. I like that Kishimoto decided to make Boruto's flashback about what happened to Sasuke short. It didn't need to be long, and there isn't any fluff. It feels like we got exactly what we needed from that flashback. I love how Sasuke went out protecting Boruto and entrusting Sarada to Boruto. It shows that even while his memories have been altered, Sasuke over the year he spent with Boruto can see Boruto for who he is as a person instead of what his memories identify him as. Sasuke entrusting Boruto with his daughter also just shows how much trust he has in Boruto and the faith that he has in Boruto and Sarada to fix what's going on. The Shinju scenes we got weren't wasted either, as we learned a lot about their motives and their names this chapter. The only one we don't have a name for is Jug or the Bug Shinju, but we know the rest of their names and I gotta say, they're pretty tough. The Sasuke Shinju specifically, whose name is Hidari, means left hand in Japanese, and I think it's pretty fitting that a bad guy Sasuke would be named that, since the actual Sasuke doesn't have his left hand anymore and didn't want to get it back to remind him of his sins, and Hidari is literally just Sasuke in sin form, if that makes sense. Speaking of the Shinju, they already have aura. I think we can all agree the second hardest thing that happened in this chapter was Jug walking up to Ada and telling her that she's his target. I say second hardest because of course, nothing can match Sasuke's final words in this chapter. It definitely moved me like no other in Boruto so far. Amato just proves to be even more of a genius, and it's not surprising either. I like his explanation on how he came to the conclusion that his memories are overwritten, but of course, Amato can always be hiding something, as we know he usually is, and even Sarada and Sumire seem to think so. It does make sense for a scientist to be able to recognize their work, and we know the things that Amato can do as a scientist, such as making another karma, are only things that Amato can do, so Amato realizing that the only conclusion he can come up with is that his memories were rewritten does make a lot of sense. Then we get to the main event of the chapter, Boruto and Sarada properly greeting each other after 3 years of not seeing each other and both of their lives getting more and more hectic. Also, Sumire just standing there like the third wheel in the situation is kinda hilarious. All in all though, if I were to rate this chapter, I would just give it a straight up 10. Like I said, I feel as if we got everything we could possibly get in 41 pages and nothing feels wasted. The pacing was also great and it didn't feel as if we were moving too fast or there's missing pieces to the chapter. Maybe except for the Code, Sasuke and Boruto interaction, but besides that, everything was incredible. Let me know what you all rate this chapter and your favorite part. Until next time.